with liberty and justice for all. Good evening and welcome to our meeting this evening. Just for point of reference, behind you is an exit off to your right and one up here off to your right as well. The first order of business, I want to take a roll call. Trustee Berenger?
Berenger's present.
Trustee Ferraro?
Ferraro present.
Trustee Carl?
Carl present.
Trustee O'Connor?
O'Connor present.
Mayor Dwyer carried. Thank you so much. Next order of business is I need a motion to open the continuation of the public hearings for the amendments to the comprehensive plan and introductory local laws 4, 5, 6, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19 of 2023.
Berenger will make the motion.
Carl will second.
Discussion? Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, aye. Carl, aye.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Okay. The next order of business is to close the public hearings.
Neil,
I'm sorry.
I want to see if any, you've opened a continuation of public hearing, so if the public has comments.
Okay. Anyone from the public wish to speak on any of these local laws, please come up.
Good evening, Mayor Dwyer, members of the trustees. As you may recall, my name is Dan Richmond. I'm with the law firm Zarin and Steinmetz in White Plains, New York. I'm here this evening to provide preliminary comments on the revised proposed local law 5 of 2023, which concerns the regulation of religious and educational uses. Our clients are continuing to review the draft, and in light of the upcoming religious holidays, we respectfully request that the hearing be adjourned, or at a minimum that a time period be provided for written comments to enable our clients to complete the review. As I have previously noted, the revised draft appears to address some of our clients' concerns. However, as I will explain this evening, their concerns about the revised local law still appear valid because it appears to improperly propose burdensome and unwarranted regulations of these uses. This evening, as I'd like to explain, I believe that the heart of the problem appears to be that the law starts off on an improper basis. Respectfully, the premise of the revised local law that religious and educational uses should be designed so as not to impose upon the quiet seclusion of residential neighborhoods contravenes established law. In fact, as the New York Court of Appeals wrote in the seminal case of Cornell v. Bagnardi, courts were thrust into the role of protecting educational and religious institutions from community hostility precisely because of inappropriate concerns that such uses would unnecessarily bring people from other communities into the neighborhood to disrupt its peace and quiet, including as a result growth and diversification of religious and educational institutions. As explained in our May 12th letter to your board on the original draft, however, under state and federal law, it is well established that as a matter of public policy, educational or religious uses of land are presumed to have a beneficial effect on the community. Accordingly, in assessing whether a substantial burden has been imposed under the Federal Religious Land Use and Institutionalized Persons Act, the Second Circuit recognizes that under New York law, a municipality may not demand that a religious institution show no ill effects will result from a religious or educational use. In fact, such a requirement fails to recognize that educational or religious uses ordinarily have inherent beneficial effects that must be weighed against their potential for harming the community. In particular, factors bearing on the public health, safety, and welfare, such as traffic hazards, impairment of use, enjoyment of value or of property values in the surrounding areas, are generally not weighty enough to foreclose religious or educational uses, and only where their impacts rise to the level of posing a danger could they otherwise be justified to totally exclude or significantly regulate these uses. As the court held in McGann v. Village of Old Westbury, so strong is the presumption of public benefit for religious institutions that ordinarily such factors bearing on public health, safety, and welfare as neighborhood appearances, adverse effect on property values, loss of tax revenue, decreased enjoyment of neighboring properties, and traffic hazards are insufficient to rebut the presumption. Notably, under RLUIPA, the visual impact of a project does not implicate a compelling governmental interest. In fact, ultimately, because of their presumed beneficial effect, religious and educational uses must be afforded special treatment with respect to zoning ordinances. The requisite special treatment for religious and educational uses means that while they are not exempt from local zoning laws, greater flexibility is required in evaluating their applications, and every effort to accommodate them must be made. Respectfully, the proposed local law notwithstanding the revisions that have made, continues to violate these principles on multiple bases. For example, the draft local laws enabling of the planning board to require on-site parking so as to be unobtrusive to the character of a residential neighborhood respectfully oversteps the municipality's lawful authority. Similarly, the draft local law statement that on-street parking may impact the capacity of residential streets to support safe pedestrian and cyclist use appears to treat religious and educational uses on less than equal terms than comparable uses. If parking is permitted on a street upon which a religious or educational use is located, presumably a determination has already been made that such parking can be safely accomplished. Any suggestion that parking for a residential house of worship or educational use would somehow pose other or additional impacts is unsustainable. Again, we are continuing to review the law, and we ask that your board either adjourn the hearing or at a minimum provide a written time period. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
May I ask if you've submitted those comments to the board? Has that letter been submitted to the board?
What I'm reading from?
Yes.
No, it's written comments that are going to be transferred once I get our clients, final sign off on it.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public wish to speak on any of these local laws?
I'd just like to ask a question, if that's all right. Local law number 13.
Could you give your clerk your name and number?
Sorry, my name is Matt Laponis, L-I, P as in Peter, O-N as in Nancy, I-S. The local law number 13, the grandfathering clause, section 7, that remains the same as what had been previously proposed?
Yes.
Yes, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else from the public wish to speak on these matters, local laws? Okay,
I would just note for the record that this local law and comprehensive plan public hearings were opened on May 2nd, continued on September 5th, and continued until tonight. The board has received many public comments which have been reviewed.
so just for the public's notice, the public comment began on 5/2, correct? And remained open through tonight. Thank you.
Can I ask a point of clarification?
Mhm.
Although not specifically required where applications aren't, where the board is not reviewing an application, seeker typically suggests that the public hearing be closed after the seeker negative declaration is adopted. So I don't think it would be harmful to follow in that sequence tonight.
Okay, our planner, Max, has suggested that the public hearing be closed after the board adopts a negative declaration. That's fine. So we won't close the public hearing right now. If the board wishes to close the public hearing, it will be the second item under new business. The first item will actually be to go through the seeker parts 2 and 3 and adopt a negative declaration. Then you will close the public hearing. And then if the board wishes and feels it appropriate, you'll adopt the local laws.
Just for my clarification, can you restate what is the second order of business under new business?
Okay, so the first thing you'll do under new business is ask your planner to go through parts 2 and 3 of the long form EAF for seeker purposes. upon that you have all before you and you have all reviewed, because I have it and I know that it's been submitted. So after going through that, the board will be asked to, if they're prepared tonight, to adopt a negative declaration. We'll discuss that. If you adopt the negative declaration, which I believe that you will, then the next process would be to close the public hearing on the local laws. The third would be to adopt the amendments to the comprehensive plan and to the local, and adopt the local laws.
Okay.
Thank you, Max.
So at this time, the public hearing remains open. Okay. So no call of order, it's just open.
It's just open until you close it later on in the session
All
tonight.
right, so we'll move along.
Yes.
Okay, next order of business, resignation of C. Breen, village intern. I don't have it.
It's right here.
Resignation.
Resolve the Board of Trustees accept the resignation of village intern Christopher Breen effective September 6, 2023. The Board of Trustees wish Chris well in his future endeavors. I need a motion to accept the resignation.
Berenger will make the motion.
Carl will second.
Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I. Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Next order of business, 3, could I have that, please? I don't have that either. Next order of business is code violation for 99 Spring Street, tax map 207-3-15 payment plan. This matter was in justice court for various code violations in 2022. As part of those proceedings, the defendant pled guilty and a fine of $75,000 was imposed. The defendant did not pay the fine as per the court's ordered schedule. As a result, the court signed a judgment which was recorded against the Orange County Land Records as it become a lien against the property in December of 2022. Although the property has changed hands, the lien is valid and enforceable lien against the property. That would be and a enforceable lien. The new owner is seeking financing and must resolve the judgment in order to obtain the financing. Jim Cox flagged it as part of the municipal search. Counsel to the property owner asked for a payment plan so that the full amount plus interest is paid by the end of the year. Attorney Elizabeth Cassidy has prepared a draft stipulation for the board's consideration. She is asking the board to authorize her to enter the stipulation on behalf of the village so that we can receive payment on the judgment. It is her recommendation that the board approve the stipulation. Attorney Elizabeth Cassidy notes that for the board that absent voluntary payment, the village's recourse is to commence enforcement proceedings through the sheriff's office, which includes costs and additional attorney fees that ultimately diminish the value of the judgment and the benefit to the village. The proposed payment plan does not reduce the amount owed to the village and collects 9% interest from December of 2022 through September of 2023. If they do not pay on time, the stipulation provides that the judgment remains on the land records and 2 statutory interest accrues on any unpaid balance. Resolve the Board of Trustees approve the stipulation and grant a payment plan for 99 Spring Street, tax map 207-3-15. I need a motion.
Berenger will make the motion.
Second.
Ferraro, second.
Discussion.
What exactly is that payment plan going to be?
September through December of '23, it's 5 payments. I believe the board was given that.
Yeah, we did.
All right, so then we're
Yeah.
just going to be over 5 payments, and that'll take us,
And that should take us, should it not happen by that point in time, then there'd be the next step right in here would be applicable.
okay.
So, any further? Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. All right, next order of business, I ask that Max Stock, our planner, to go through the EAF.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you know, this process began, of going through environmental impacts, began really with the preparation of the environment, or the village's comp plan that we started last year. And that comprehensive plan, throughout your discussions on the conditions, the input you received by the public, input you received by interested persons, always went back to balancing the environmental, economic, and social considerations in that document itself. Having gone through that process, arriving at a draft that you found was acceptable, having developed a suite of implementing local laws that are being considered tonight, we did a formal look at the potential environmental impacts that occur based on those documents and those proposed local laws. And those were set forth in the Environmental Assessment Form Part 1 that you received last week, in terms of describing at length and in depth what the comprehensive plan recommended and what these local laws did. In preparation for your considerations tonight, there were matrices listing every recommendation of the comp plan and evaluating them against the many environmental impacts that are listed in the state's full EAF form, full environmental assessment form, to determine whether those impacts or those recommendations and these local laws, either considered singly or cumulatively, could result in those impacts. Having gone through that exercise and having sort of provided those to the public for review through this public hearing process, the village has not identified any potential large to moderate impacts that will occur as a result of those new policies or these proposed local laws. So I have prepared a Part 2 EAF that formally sets that forth. It does go through and it lists for each of the impact areas under the EAF that in fact those impacts are not likely based on these local laws and this amended comp plan. Also attached is a full environmental assessment form, Part 3, which wasn't strictly required due to the fact that no large impacts have been identified. But I do want to read the statement that is included in that Part 3 form, just for the record. So no moderate or large impacts were identified in connection with the adoption of the village's draft comprehensive plan and introductory local laws 4, 5, 6, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19, which implement the high priority recommendations of that plan. The endeavor of updating the comprehensive plan and adopting the local laws was in fact intended to mitigate increasingly observed trends of out of character development, increased traffic congestion, impact of the quiet character of residential neighborhoods, and ineffective enforcement of existing laws. All recommendations of the plan and the implementing local laws are designed to ensure that future development is less intensive, more protective of natural and cultural resources, more protective of the quiet of residential neighborhoods, and more consistent with current village character. While not relevant to the first phase of seeker, it is noted that the comp plan also weighs and balances economic and social considerations such as housing affordability and the supply of housing options in the region. The plan recommendations in support of economic and social considerations do not result in any identified moderate or large impacts. So that is sort of the consideration. As you know, over the course of the last several months, we've discussed these local laws in depth. We've gone over if they could result in impacts. You have worked to make them as effective and as the least impactful as they can be. You have amended them in response to public comment received. So we are very comfortable recommending you tonight that you adopt this Part 2 and this Part 3 and issue this negative declaration of environmental significance under seeker. We have prepared those forms for you, and if you adopt those tonight, we will ensure that upon signature of the mayor that this be properly noticed in the environmental notice bulletin and as otherwise required.
Thank you. Okay, next order of business is the adoption.
We want a motion to adopt the.
I'll get to that.
Okay.
Yeah. So next order of business is to adopt Part 2 of the EAF
Yes.
as per the planner. I need a motion.
Carl will make that motion.
O'Connor will
Second.
second.
Discussion? Call the
We'll
question?
also be adopting Part 3, which is the negative declaration.
I can't do that next?
You can do them in sequence, Part 3 and negative.
Yeah. Okay, further discussion? Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Next order is I need a motion to accept the Part 3 of the EAF as submitted by the planner.
Carl will make that motion.
Ferraro, second.
Discussion? Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Okay. Next order of business, the local laws.
You would
Closing?
close the-
Close.
Okay, so,
Did they do the negative?
Well, he adopted Part
Part
3,
three,
which
and
is the negative declaration.
It's really a.
separate?
It is separate.
Okay, so you'll need a motion to adopt a negative declaration.
Okay, I need a motion for for the adoption of a negative declaration as per the planner.
Carl will make that motion.
O'Connor will second.
Discussion? Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Okay, next order of business is the closing of the public hearings. I need a motion to close the public hearings on introductory laws or local laws 4, 5, 6, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19 of 2023.
And the comprehensive plan.
And the comprehensive plan, excuse me. Yep.
Berenger will make the motion.
Carl will second.
Discussion? Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Excuse me. Okay, next order of business is the authorization to advertise for part-time zoning board of appeals secretary. Trustee O'Connor?
Be it resolved, the Board of Trustees authorize the village clerk to advertise for the position of part-time zoning board of appeals secretary. I put that in the form of a motion.
Second, please.
Berenger, oh, sorry. Berenger will second.
Discussion? Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Next order of business, trustee O'Connor, authorization to advertise for part-time planning board secretary.
Be it resolved, the Board of Trustees authorize the village clerk to advertise for the position of part-time planning board secretary. I put that in the form of a motion.
Second, please.
Berenger,
Go ahead.
Berenger will second.
Discussion? Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Next order of business is the introduction of local law 3, excuse me, to
I thought we did.
Anybody? I don't have that here, that's set that way. I have that down as E. E, F,
Right, but I know, you have to go to the adoption of, because I couldn't label each, we didn't have them each separate on the listing.
okay. All right, let's go back out.
You should have the adoption of local law 4 and separate ones for each local law thereafter, as well as the comprehensive plan. So,
All right, let's, hang on a minute, I want to check and verify something. Have these been renumbered?
No, nothing was renumbered. There's no number on the adoption page because there were 7.
So it's just 180?
so we've closed the board has closed the public
That's right.
hearing. The first order of business now, after completing seeker and closing the public hearing, is to begin the adoption process for the comprehensive plan and each local law. So you have before you a resolution to adopt the amendments to the comprehensive plan.
I have that.
You would need just a motion on that.
So, Resolution 2 of 2023, the amendments to the comprehensive plan. Public hearing was held on May 2nd, June 6th, September 5, and Thursday, September 14th, in 2023, in the boardroom of the Village Hall, 7 Stage Road, Monroe, New York, at 7 p.m. to review a resolution amendments to the comprehensive plan. This resolution is for public review and input by the draft, on the draft amended comprehensive plan. I need a motion to accept the resolution number 2 of 2023.
To adopt the
To
amendments
adopt the
to the
amendment.
comprehensive plan.
Carl will make that motion.
O'Connor will second.
Discussion? Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Next order of business is the introductory local law number 4, Village of Monroe Landmarks Preservation. Public hearing was held on May 2nd, June 6th, September 5, and Thursday, September 14th, 2023, in the boardroom of the Village Hall, 7 Stage Road, Monroe, New York, at 7 p.m. to review the proposed public law, local law entitled Village of Monroe Landmarks Preservation. This local law provides for the identification, protection, and perpetuation of buildings, structures, signs, features, improvements, sites, and areas within the Village of Monroe that reflect special elements of the Monroe's historical, architectural, cultural, economic, and aesthetic heritage. I need a motion to adopt the local law 4 of 2023.
Ferraro make the motion.
Second,
Berenger will second.
discussion? Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye. I thought we were doing.
All right, so the next in line was the adoption of introductory local law 5, which is the Village of Monroe Place of Worship and Schools local law. The village has just yesterday, I believe, received a letter from the AG's office asking and requesting that this board allow it to weigh in on some of the aspects of that local law. So I am recommending that instead of adopting local law 5 tonight, the board table this for the purpose of reaching out to the AG's office and finding out what it is that they seem to be concerned with.
Okay, so we're going to table that. Next order of business is the introductory local law number 6 of 2023, the amendment to the Village of Monroe's Architectural Review. Public hearing was held on May 2nd, June 6th, September 5, and Thursday, September 14th, 2023, in the boardroom of the Village Hall, 7 Stage Road, Monroe, New York, at 7 p.m. to review a proposed local law titled Amendment to the Village of Monroe Architectural Review. This local law expands the existing authority for architectural review to special permits and homes located in the Village of Monroe's Historic District and/or is listed or eligible to be listed on the New York State Registry of Historic Places. I need a motion to accept and adopt local law 6.
Ferraro will make the motion.
Carl will second.
Discussion? Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, aye.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Next order of business
Can I
is...
have a moment, please?
Yep.
Yes.
The planner would like to make some comments on some of the local laws that we have not, that this board has not yet adopted. So where are we? Local law 6,
No, we're on 10.
10, okay.
Okay, with regard to local law 11, we had received some
Well,
public.
we're on 10.
Right, no, I understand.
Okay.
that. You know, over the course of this public hearing, there were some comments received that I just wanted to make some recommendations that I don't think are significant, but I think you can improve the laws tonight as you're adopting them. Local law 10, I'm sorry, local law 11 has to do with the parking of commercial vehicles in residential neighborhoods. We thought it would be valuable to clarify that this law does not apply to delivery vehicles or vehicles involved in duly permitted construction activities. Additionally, we had suggested a change to one particular provision to increase its readability. And that was in the memo I provided to the board. It really just sort of takes the last part of the sentence and moves it to the middle. That increases readability. With regard to, I believe that is the comments on those local laws.
Okay, so we can proceed. I also believe that one change was made to the preservation law simply to clarify that the Roscoe Smith property is no longer on Chris. Again, not a substantive change.
Sorry?
On the preservation local law, we did make a change to remove Roscoe Smith in the listing because it is no longer identified on the SHPO's Chris system. It's just a minor change.
So on that local law, was every other property listed as part of the local law?
Yeah,
Yes.
that was really the only change.
Okay, so that's,
That's Roscoe property was removed.
It was removed, so that had to be reflected in the local law,
Just
and
asking
we
to be
will
clear.
remove that, yeah.
all right, let's go back to local law 10. Introductory local law 10 of 2023, the Village of Monroe illegal residency occupancy. A public hearing was held on September 5 and Thursday, September 14th, in the boardroom of the Village Hall, 7 Stage Road, Monroe, New York, at 7 p.m. to review the proposed local law titled Village of Monroe Illegal Residency, Residential Occupancy. This local law amends the zoning law to address the proliferation of illegal conversions of single and two-family homes into multiple dwelling units and illegal boarding houses, identifies the criteria by which the building department can presume an illegal conversion and impose civil and criminal penalties upon conviction of the same. I need a motion to adopt this local law 10 of 2023.
Carl will make that motion.
And Berenger will second.
Discussion? Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, aye.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried.
It says here number 10. But this was how it was noticed,
Yes.
as local law number 10. So we'll just have to adjust because the board did not adopt local law number 5. You'll have to adjust it afterwards. It was noticed and everything was done as local law number 10. Just to note for the board that there will be an adjustment of the numbers of the local laws because the board did not adopt local law number 5. So local law number 10 becomes local law number 9 because you skipped one. But for the purpose of the public hearing, for the purpose of what the public has viewed and what their understanding of
Under
what
that number.
local law 10 was, my suggestion that we go forward with a note on the record that when these local laws are filed, they will be filed under a different number. And if we want to go through, as we're adopting these from this point forward, you can just note that we're adopting local law 10 as it's stated for the public, but it will be provided to the Department of State as local law number 9. And the clerk will keep us on the right track here. Okay.
Okay, next order of business is local law 11 of 2023, Village of Monroe parking of commercial and oversized vehicles and equipment. Public hearing was held on September 5 and Thursday, September 14th, in the boardroom of the Village Hall, 7 Stage Road, Monroe, New York, at 7 p.m. to review a proposed local law titled Village of Monroe parking of commercial and oversized vehicles and equipment. This local law regulates commercial vehicle parking and storage of any lot in the SR 20, SR 10, or URM zoning districts. I need a motion to adopt the local law 11 of 2023,
Which will be filed with
which
the
will be
state
filed
as
to the
local law
state of
10.
New York as local law number 10.
Berenger will make the motion.
Ferraro, second.
Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl,
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Next order of business is introductory local law number 12 of 2023, Village of Monroe building height and FAR clarification. Public hearing was held on September 5 and Thursday, September 14th, in the boardroom of the Village Hall, 7 Stage Road, Monroe, New York, at 7 p.m. to review a proposed local law titled Village of Monroe building height and FAR clarification. This local law refines the definitions associated with building height and floor area ratio and defines grade plane to prevent artificially increasing existing lot grade to thwart height and FAR regulations. I need a motion to adopt local law number 12 in 2023.
Carl will make that motion.
Ferraro,
O'Connor will
second.
Yep, go ahead.
It'll be changed to 11.
Who was it? Second?
Marty.
Marty.
Discussion? Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl,
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye. And just for clarification, this local law 12 will become local law 11,
As filed with the state,
as
yes.
filed with the state. Council, would it be appropriate, rather than just to do this little charade, that we just actually call it out what it's going to be?
That's fine.
Yeah.
It's just that the public was noticed as the old local laws.
Yeah, I get that, but I think the body, in this case, local law currently is 13, says Monroe Light Industry. I think that's the compelling piece, right? That's the piece that says that's what it is. It could be 45, it's still light industry. So, introductory local law number 12 of 2023, Village of Monroe Light Industry District. A public hearing was held on September 5 and Thursday, September 14, 2023, in the boardroom of the Village Hall, 7 Stage Road, Monroe, New York, at 7 p.m. to review a proposed local law titled Village of Monroe Light Industry District. This local law establishes a new use category, light industry, and amends the zoning map so as to apply the new use to all lots currently zoned general business GB and having frontage on the New York State Route 208 or Gilbert Street extension west of the Orange County Heritage Trail. I need a motion to adopt this local law number 12 of 2023.
Carl will make that motion.
Second?
Berenger will second.
Discussion? Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl,
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Next order of business, introductory local law number 13 of 2023, Village of Monroe revisions to the general business GB zoning district bulk regulations. Public hearing was held on Tuesday, September 5, 2023, and September 14, 2023, in the boardroom of the Village Hall, 7 Stage Road, Monroe, New York, at 7 p.m. to review a proposed local law titled Village of Monroe Revisions to the General Business GB Zoning District Bulk Regulations. This local law establishes a minimum floor area per tenant space for any new commercial buildings constructed within the village but outside of the downtown CB district. I need a motion to accept, to adopt this local law 13 of 2023.
Berenger will make the motion.
Second,
Ferraro, second.
discussion? Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Next order of business, introductory local law number 14 of 2023, the Village of Monroe General Zoning Map Changes. A public hearing was held on Tuesday, September 5, 2023, and September 14th in the boardroom of the Village Hall, 7 Stage Road, Monroe, New York, at 7 p.m. to review a proposed local law entitled Village of Monroe General Zoning Map Changes. This local law amends the zoning map to rezone one lot, SBL 213-1-6, located in the GB district into the adjacent CB district. I need a motion to adopt local law 14 of 2023.
Carl will make that motion.
Second,
O'Connor will second.
discussion? Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Next order of business is the introductory local law 15 of 2023, Village of Monroe, mixed-use multifamily in the CB district. Public hearing was held on September 5 and Thursday, September 14th, in the boardroom of the Village Hall, 7 Stage Road, Monroe, New York, at 7 p.m. to review a proposed local law titled Village of Monroe, mixed-use multifamily in the CB district. This local law establishes a new-use, mixed-use multifamily over commercial in the commercial district, CB district, with accompanying bulk and special permit requirements. I need a motion to adopt the local law 15 of 2023.
Berenger will make the motion.
Ferraro, second.
Discussion? Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried, thank you. Next order of business, local law 16, introductory local law 16 of 2023, Village of Monroe multifamily conversions. A public hearing was held on September 5 and Thursday, September 14th, in the boardroom of the Village Hall, 7 Stage Road, Monroe, New York, at 7 p.m. to review a proposed local law titled Village of Monroe multifamily conversions. This local law modifies the use tables contained in the zoning law to eliminate commercial to residential conversions as listed in Attachment 1, Table of District Uses and Bulk Regulations, CB District, and conversion of existing residential to multifamily and conversion of existing residential to two-family as listed in Attachment 5, Table of the District Uses and Bulk Regulations, URM District. I need a motion to adopt Local Law 16 of 2023.
Ferraro, make the motion.
Berenger will second.
Further discussion? Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Next order of business is the introductory local law number 17 of 2023, the Village of Monroe out of character dwellings. A public hearing was held on Tuesday, September 5, 2023, and September 14, 2023, in the boardroom of the Village Hall, 7 Stage Road, Monroe, New York, at 7 p.m. to review a proposed local law titled Village of Monroe out of character dwellings. This local law establishes thresholds applied to single-family home construction or expansion that, if exceeded, requires site plan approval to ensure that the house is in keeping with the neighborhood character. I need a motion to adopt local law 17 of 2023.
Carl will make that motion.
O'Connor will second.
Discussion? Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Next order of business is the local law 18 of 2023. Introductory local law 18 of 2023, the Village of Monroe Urban Residential Multifamily. A public hearing was held on September 5 and Thursday, September 14th, in the boardroom of the Village Hall, 7 Stage Road, Monroe, New York, at 7 p.m. to review a proposed local law titled Village of Monroe Urban Residential Multifamily. This local law eliminates the urban residential multifamily districts from vacant lands and lands that have not been approved or developed for multifamily or single-family attached residences. I need a motion to adopt local law 18 of 2023.
Berenger will make the motion.
Second?
Carl will second.
Further discussion? Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried, thank you. Council, would it be prudent at that point, since we covered most of them, to go back to the other ones and change the numbers right now in public?
If you wish, that's fine. That's fine if you want to start with the the comprehensive plan.
Yeah, that was fine.
So
Starts with
the
6.
first, what was it? The
6.
first four, well, 4 is fine, so 6.
Starts at 6.
And, yeah.
6 becomes 5.
For the public, do I want to say that what was 5 became 4? Or just,
No, 5
it just,
was just
Right,
table.
just a
Okay.
short.
so it's off.
It's off the table until.
Right. Okay, very good.
So 6 is 5.
So 6 is 5.
Right.
So on.
Okay, do I want to reestablish or just for the boards, for the public?
I think it's sufficient if you just,
State,
6 is now 8 because.
okay,
we
let's
had
just
laws in between.
redo the ones that were
Yes, so
incorrectly.
anything that was done,
Okay.
I would do, anything after 5, let me see.
That's what we're doing.
Number four is adopted as 7, so let's start at the very beginning.
Number 4 is
Oh.
adopted as 7?
Because we already have other local laws.
Okay.
We've had adoptions of other laws.
yeah, but,
All right, let's just start over again with the laws that were adopted out of sequence.
Okay, local law number 4 is adopted as local law number 7, 2023. And that was
what is local law 4?
Village of Monroe Landmarks Preservation.
So let's start there. So
And what is that now?
Number 7.
7.
So 4 is
Could
7.
I, point of information, all of these local laws were identified as introductory local law X of 2023, so that when you adopted them, you could change them to a local law X of 2023. So, you know, I know that some communities do distinguish between an introductory local law number and the adopted local law
Yes.
number. I don't know if that's something you can keep the distinction as it was prepared, being introductory local law 5 of 2023, and then when you file it with the DOS, it can be numbered as a different local law.
I think that the mayor wishes to clear the record as to
Okay.
which local law was as adopted at what number, based on the clerk's recommendation, having renumbered them. So why don't we take guidance from the clerk
Okay,
to,
so number 4 is now number 7.
Okay, so pause right there.
so I would go back through the resolution
Right.
as number 7.
So I'm going to go back and ask the board, do I want to rescind?
Just revise, modify the resolution to renumber the local law as 7 and just read what.
Okay, so for the
title
public,
is.
so for the public, I'd like to do the following. I'd like to clear the record by saying that we had adopted introductory local law number 4 of 2023, when in fact it is local law number 7 of 2023, the Village of Monroe Landmarks Preservation. Do I need to vote?
I think it's sufficient just to be on the record saying that there was a mix-up with the numbers. I think it's
Now,
necessary to go back through everything.
What was local law number 5 is just tabled.
It's an introductory law number 5 is tabled.
That's X of 2023.
Right.
Next order of business is the introductory local law,
Number 6.
The adoption of local law number.
the adoption of local law number what?
6.
8. Remember, this was the introductory local law number 6.
So, the following, I am modifying the introductory local law number 8 and asking to adopt local law number 8.
Amendment, and read what it is.
Amendment to the Village of Monroe's architectural review. In the public hearing that was held on May 2nd, June 6th, September 5, and Thursday, September 14th, 2023, in the boardroom of the Village Hall, 7 Stage Road, Monroe, New York, at 7 p.m. to review the proposed local law titled Amendment to the Village of Monroe Architectural Review. This local law expands the existing authority for architectural review to press special permits in homes located in the Village of Monroe Historic District and or it's listed and or eligible to be listed on the village, on the New York State Registry of Historic Places. Next order is,
We did it as number, it was adopted as local law number 9.
So that was correct.
Yes,
The
from there
numbers
on
are
we did
correct from that
what do you
point.
have as local law number 9?
I have Village of Monroe illegal residential.
Okay? What do you have down as the parking of commercial and oversized?
Number 10.
Okay? And what do you have down as building height and FAR clarification?
Number 11.
And what do you have as light industry?
Number 12.
And what do you have as district bulk regulations?
Number 13.
And what do you have as general zoning map changes?
Number 14.
What do you have as mixed-use multifamily?
Number 15.
And what do you have as multifamily conversions?
Number 16.
And what do you have as out-of-character dwellings?
Number 17.
And what do you have as urban residential multifamily? Thank you. Okay, next order of business. Introduction of local law X of 2023, modifications to Chapter 43 of the Village Code, vehicles and traffic to prohibit vehicle parking or standing on Brooks Avenue from Charlton Place to Forest Avenue and set the public hearing date. Village of Monroe resolution introducing modifications to Chapter 43 of the Village Code, vehicles and traffic to prohibit vehicle parking or standing on Brooks Avenue from Charlton Place to Forest Avenue. Whereas after consultation with the Village Chief of Police of the Village of Monroe Police Department, the Board of Trustees determined that vehicles parked or standing along Brooks Avenue between the intersections of Charlton Place and Forest Avenue and therefore pose a threat to the health and welfare of village residents and visitors. And whereas the New York State Village Law 4-412 confers authority on the Board of Trustees to manage the village property, including specific authorization to take all actions not inconsistent with general law and the provisions of the New York State Constitution to protect the safety, health, comfort, and general welfare of the village inhabitants. And whereas Section 43-9A of the Village Code authorizes the Board of Trustees by duly enacted resolution to prohibit parking on village streets. Now therefore be resolved, the Board of Trustees shall convene a public hearing at 7 p.m. on September 26, 2023, to consider a resolution that would prohibit vehicles from parking or standing along Brooks Avenue between the intersections of Charlton Place and Forest Avenue. Be it further resolved, the village clerk shall cause a notice of hearing to be published in the official newspaper not less than 5 days before the public hearing. I need a motion.
Carl will make the motion.
O'Connor will second.
Discussion? Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Next order of business, introductory of local law X of 2023, amending, again, what is this? Oh, got it. X of 2023, amending Chapter 43 of the Village Code, vehicles and traffic to impose a no parking restriction on village streets from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. from November 1st to April 1st and set the public hearing. Village of Monroe resolution introducing local law titled amending Chapter 43 of the Village Code, vehicles and traffic to impose a no parking restriction on village streets from November 1 to April 1. Be it resolved that the introductory local law titled amending Chapter 43 of the Village Code, vehicles and traffic to impose a no parking restriction on village streets from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. from November 1st to April 1st is hereby introduced by Mayor Dwyer before the Board of Trustees of the Village of Monroe, County of Orange, State of New York. And be it further resolved that copies of the aforesaid proposed local law be laid upon the desk of each Board of Trustees member. Be it further resolved, the Board of Trustees shall hold a public hearing on the said proposed local law at Village Hall, 7 Stage Road, Monroe, New York, at 7 p.m. on September 26th. And be it further resolved that the village clerk shall publish or cause to be published a public notice in the official newspaper of the Village of Monroe no later than 5 days prior thereto. I need a motion.
Carl will make the motion.
Berenger will second.
Discussion? Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Okay. Next order is the introduction of local law X of 2023, amendment to local law number 4 of 2021, establishing floor area ratios for single-family detached dwellings and two-family dwellings in the Village of Monroe, and set public hearing. Whereas an introductory local law titled Amendment to Local Law Number 4 of 2021, establishing floor area ratios for single-family detached dwellings and two-family dwellings in the Village of Monroe was introduced by Mayor Dwyer before the Board of Trustees of the Village of Monroe, County of Orange, and the State of New York. And whereas the Board of Trustees finds that it is appropriate to clarify its intent as to the application of the existing floor area ratio, known as FAR, bulk regulations to all single-family detached dwellings and all two-family dwellings in all districts. And whereas the Board of Trustees also finds that the FAR is intended to be strictly enforced and relief should only be granted in extraordinary circumstances. And whereas the Board of Trustees finds and determines that amending the language that applies to exemptions from FAR and strengthening its intent to enforce FAR will serve to effectuate its original intent. Now therefore be resolved, the Board of Trustees shall hold a public hearing on said proposed local law at the Village Hall, 7 Stage Road, Monroe, New York, at 7 p.m. on October 3rd, 2023. And be it further resolved, the village clerk shall publish or cause to be published a public notice in the official newspaper of the Village of Monroe no later than 10 days prior thereto. I need a motion to set this public hearing on this introductory local law X of 2023.
Carl will make the motion.
Second?
O'Connor will second.
Discussion? Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Ferraro, I.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Okay, I have nothing. Counsel, do you have anything?
I have something in executive session
Yeah.
in terms of
Okay.
litigation.
Public comment. Anyone from the public wish to speak? Please come on up. Give your name to the clerk.
Sal Lamonti, 30 Charlton Place. Good evening. On the new public law with the parking on Brooks, was there a restriction from the intersection to Forest, or was it all of Brooks?
It's from Charlton.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
you're saying-
it goes down the other way to Joan Canick's. That's where the problem is.
So it should be the entire length,
It has to be,
not from Charlton intersection.
from the intersection of Charlton down is where we have the problem.
That's that short stub?
Yes,
Yeah.
because the garbage wasn't picked up yesterday, this morning again, and tonight it's going to be all over the road.
Right.
Just like it is. So, was that correct? Did I question that? So,
I'm appreciative that you addressed it, because if we need to modify it, we're going to do it right now.
yes,
Thank
good,
you.
okay. The other proposed laws that you adopted, when do they become effective? And how are they going to be enforced with current violations in the community?
They take effect when filed with the Department of.
I can't hear you, I'm
They
sorry.
take effect when filed with the Department of State,
Okay,
and they'll be enforced through the regular channels.
which are,
The building department, code enforcement.
okay, now, how do they determine if a single family is now a multiple? Do they go out and look, or do they has to be through the process of somebody complaining about it?
A complaint does have to be filed, no matter what.
No matter what, a complaint has to be filed. Can it be an anonymous complaint? Does it have to be signed by a person? Question I have.
So for me, you could just.
A
call me up and
complaint
tell
is a
me.
complaint as far as I'm concerned.
The circumstances of, I can imagine why you'd want to do that.
I just want to know the legality of it.
Yeah.
I'm not an attorney.
Typically, complaints are filed and they're not anonymous. So if you have a concern, I think what the mayor is suggesting is that you call him and he will discuss it with the building department. Also, there are some rebuttable presumptions contained in the local law that essentially says if you see if a single-family home that's supposed to be a single-family home, if you see multiple dish satellites, multiple, cars parked there.
And multiple people, like 15 and 20 going into it.
Well, that's another story.
Well-
But there are rebuttable.
These are the issues we have.
Yeah, if you take a look at the local law that was adopted tonight, and you
Okay.
take a look at the rebuttable presumptions, and.
But the reason
if
I'm
the-
asking, I'm not an attorney, so I don't know specifically. I don't want to be just spinning my wheels if someone's going to complain about it and get nowhere. I don't know the legalities of it.
Give us a chance.
Okay. Okay. So now before we're done tonight, you're going to revise the Brooks thing?
I will be directed to revise it, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's right,
Thank,
it's right here, Charlton Street and Forest Avenue. Brooks
So
Avenue.
I understand it. So the intersection would suggest that we forgot the 500 feet to the right.
From Charlton up is not going to help going down
It
to
should be the
Jones.
entire length of Forest. excuse me,
Emergency
Brooks
vehicles
Up
king.
to Forest.
Yeah,
I understand.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Board.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the public wish to speak on any matter from this evening?
So just get, so Brooks Avenue, is it going to be just that small strip?
No,
That's the problem, or the
from
entire
Forest.
thing? All the way down to that dead end?
Right.
Okay. And you might want to specify it that way, to the dead end, which that would take you right
Well,
down
that's
to
the one
end.
piece of language. So, all right, so if you go back into it,
Yeah,
just a moment, if you could. So right there where it says,
Brooks Avenue.
determine that vehicles parked or standing along Brooks Avenue between the intersection, it's the entire length of Brooks Avenue up to Forest. Charlton is no longer part of that local law.
Well,
Entire
yeah,
length
from-
of
from-
Brooks up
yeah,
to
yeah.
Not even include from Charlton.
Yeah.
The entire length.
I'll make that change.
That is a problem. I've been there a couple times. and
It's a
it's-
major problem. Looks like a dump over there. Okay. Anyone else in the public? Please.
Just want to make sure that the letter sent for the clerk was submitted. Thank you.
I'm not sure what that,
Email it to everybody right before the meeting. and
It just came.
We got it.
what is it?
Another letter came. It's on our email.
Did anybody read it?
Yep.
Is it addressed to the board?
Yes.
You have it there?
See you 1 second.
I haven't seen it, I apologize.
Here.
Thank you.
You got it?
Yep, thank you. Okay, with no further comment from the public, I ask for a motion to go into attorney-client,
Carl will make that motion.
excuse me,
Yeah, I wish to update the board on pending litigation matters.
Carl will make that motion.
Berenger will second.
call the question.
Berenger, aye.
For ROI.
Carl, aye.
O'Connor, aye.
Thank you, everyone.